This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carinante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib. Thomas Carinante is off today. Thank you for joining us live on YouTube every Monday, every Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern time to talk New York Yankees baseball. And we are lucky enough to have a Yankees off day today to regroup from the madness a little bit. Hey, last year we went through all of this team is different stuff. Alex Verdugo barks now. And it was like, all right. I mean, you're kind of acclimating and you're like, maybe it is. They went to Houston and swept them. They went to Arizona and took that series. You're like, maybe this is different. And then they get sent to Cleveland and they have an error-filled, frigid, cold, bad series finale featuring some bad Gleyber Torres plays. And then they go to Toronto and they get shut out a couple times in April. And you're like, this isn't different. This is extremely familiar and normal. We didn't have to contend with that same chatter this year. We were met with the non-burden of low expectations. Like, hey, no Soto. You got a backup plan. You got kids. Let's see what you can do. And the Yankees started the season 6-2. But nobody was crowing. People were talking about the torpedo bats. People were talking about the revamped lineup and remade image. But nobody was saying, well, these guys are different. These guys have the edge the Yankees haven't had in years. They were just saying, okay, well, this is weird. This is an exciting start. And let's see where they go. They win 2 of their first 3 series, but they lose 1 to a contending Diamondbacks team at home. And they win 1, but lose the finale in Pittsburgh. Not exactly, you're not raising any banners for doing that. You're preventing them from raising the Jolly Roger a couple times, but not 3 times. Like Danny Wexelman said on Monday's show, you'll want to sweep that. So Danny will be back Monday, by the way. If you like Danny Wexelman on the pod, 2 o'clock Eastern on Monday afternoon. Again, tune in right here on the Yanks Go Yard YouTube channel, as well as on podcast feeds. I can't wait to see you there. Coming into the Detroit series, though, they were not burdened by the expectations that this was an entirely different Yankees reality. It was just a series in a freezing cold city where the times were all shifted around to accommodate how fucking cold it was. And I think expectations were rightly low. It's like, we've seen this before. We saw this in Cleveland last year. This team always plays at least one series in April, somewhere where baseball shouldn't be played in April, and the bats just shut down. Not indicative of the rest of the season. Usually an outlier. If you want to be an alarmist, you can say that the Yankees faced top quality starting pitching in this series, games 1, 2, and 3, and came up short. Yeah, I hear you. But also, there were winter flurries in game 1 where Casey Mize shut them out. Jazz Chisholm straight up put the temperature on his Instagram story and was like, no, I do not like this. So on the one hand, yeah, October's cold too, but also it's not 24 usually with a wind chill below that. They don't usually take the World Series games out of the nighttime because they agree the nighttime chill is too dangerous for baseball. So uncharacteristic temperature, not something the Yankees are going to have to contend with much moving forward. And you get Mize and the reigning Cy Young winner Tarek Skubal and Jack Flaherty in a row. At that point, especially given the fact that you're matching up with Carlos Rodon, Carlos Carrasco, and Max Fried, your goal is win 1. Sorry. Like, I don't mean to be underestimating or having low expectations that are too low, but not every series is going to be a good one for you. Don't get swept. This one was breaking towards a sweep. Soon as you lost the first one, soon as Rodon got boned by the umpire's bad call and they give up an Andy Ibanez home run with 2 outs that never should have happened, you're looking to avoid the sweep. You're saying, Max Fried, please avoid me that sweep because we're not hitting Tarek Skubal. And they didn't hit Tarek Skubal. And Carlos Carrasco looked like a guy who probably wouldn't be in a major league rotation except for in dire circumstances. And don't make a mistake. The circumstances are dire for the Yankees right now, given the people that they've lost and the people that they're lacking. But they lose the first 2 and do salvage the finale. Max Fried looks unbelievable. He's top tier in the positives department. No surprise Ben Rice homered because that's what Ben Rice does. No surprise, and maybe people weren't paying attention, but Paul Goldschmidt has been incredible this year, and he was, in fact, incredible on this entire road trip. We will talk about the positives. We will also certainly talk about the negatives from the series and from the finale, because just because you win doesn't mean it was all gravy. Look forward to the Giants a little bit, too. That is a fun Friday to Sunday series in the Bronx. Justin Verlander pitched yesterday and sucked. It would have been really nice to see him on the road in Yankee Stadium this week, but I digress. Giants are a fun matchup. Giants coming in hot as well off a Mike Yastrzemski walk-off splash hit into McCovey Cove. They've got momentum. Might not be what you want to hear, but it's true. The New York Yankees are 7-5. The Toronto Blue Jays are a half game ahead of them after taking 3 from the Red Sox this week. But that's pretty much the top of the AL East right now. The Orioles, by the way, 5-8. Not the end of the year, but Orioles doomsayers like me who didn't think they did enough with the pitching to keep the window open or honestly supplement offensively. We're not doing a victory lap 13 games in, but the Orioles doomsayers are doing a little bit. We're at least peeking through the window shades to be like, is anybody looking at me in there? Does anybody want to have a chat? We can have a chat. Let's focus on the Yankees, though. And first off, again, the story that dominated the headlines this week before we get into the game action, Cody Bellinger and chicken wings. The war, the battle that will rage on, but apparently not for 5 more years. Were you fooled? Show of hands. Raise your hands in the podcast reviews. Were you fooled by the fake Cody Bellinger Instagram story that said round 2? It said he's going back for more chicken wings. I was. I thought that was maybe real. But then he did speak to the media on Wednesday and say, I will not have chicken wings for 5 years after what they put him through. And Cody, we're going to hold you to that. So I've set up several cameras. I'm going to be taking a look on to make sure, hey, if you're eating chicken, that it's boned. It's deboned. Like if you're eating chicken, I'm going to do a zoom and make sure, okay, that's a tender. Oh, thank goodness. All right, he's holding to his promise. Because Cody Bellinger got room service wings and missed Tuesday's game, late scratch, up all night with the wrong kind of meat sweats, right? You can give yourself those by eating too much steak. You can also get them from eating chicken prepared by not the finest poultry chefs in Motown. It was room service. Because, of course, it was. And again, this is the kind of negative publicity that maybe makes the Yankees reconsider their hotel contracts. So perhaps the most impactful undercooked chicken wings we've seen in decades in the sports landscape. Michael Jordan ate an undercooked pizza or something before the flu game, right? I don't believe it was wings, but Bellinger and Michael Jordan should get in touch for many reasons. Talk about the aftermath, the devastating circumstances of food poisoning at an inopportune time. I don't think Bellinger's presence on Tuesday would have made a whole bunch of difference. And I think he was probably glad as a lefty that he did not have to face Tarek Skubal. And I don't think the Yankees would have benched Cody Bellinger if he were healthy and not up all night vomiting in a Detroit bathroom. But I do think if you are Cody Bellinger and you are a lefty and you're about to go left on left against the reigning Cy Young, that is one of those games that you ask Gad for, especially after battling a bad back over the weekend. So I wouldn't blame Bellinger at all if he was like, damn, those wings look funky, but I got to eat those shits because I gotta skip tomorrow's game by any means necessary. Like, are wings supposed to be a little gray and green? Not in my experience, but hey, while they're here, hey, when in Rome, and someone's like, Cody, that's not what that phrase means. He's like, obviously you've never been to Rome, as he chows down on a chicken wing that can only be described as spongy. Bellinger missed the game. He made a full recovery, but he did swear off one of his favorite foods. That it's going to change his room service calculations forever. But more important history was made yesterday. Let's do the positives first, because you all know the Yankees didn't hit it all in the first 2 games, and I'm not breaking any new ground by saying, hey, the offense looked bad. Yeah, it looked bad. But guess who saved them? Max Fried and Ben Rice, who got their first fried Rice cover of the Daily News. Or post, either way. I mean, you knew that was coming at some point when they starred in the same game together, and that game was yesterday. In fact, hey, who is the highest hard hit rate among all qualified hitters in MLB so far this year? Is he on the Yankees? Is that a reason why I'm asking this question? Let's go 5 through 1, just so you can marvel at who else is on this list. Number 5, Pete Alonso. Seems to be the Mets' long-term first baseman of the future after Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was extended, after Mets fans cheered Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as a road participant before their home opener, to which I say, very cool. Pete Alonso's 5th. James Wood, criminally underrated rookie, 65.4% of the Washington Nationals. He looks insane. Number 3, Kyle Schwarber, Brian Cashman's dream. The Yankees would have loved to have him in the leadoff spot, but instead they recreated him in the aggregate with Paul Goldschmidt and somebody else. Rafael Devers at number 2. When he hits the ball, he hits it hard. He did go 0 for 19 to start the season, though. That appears to be in our distant past, but I'd like to mention it again because I'm not going to get that many more opportunities. And number 1, among qualifiers, Ben Rice at 72%. His home run yesterday squeezed over the wall to give the Yankees a 2-0 lead that became 4-0. That should have been more, but wasn't, because they couldn't come through again with bases loaded, nobody outs, and 2 runs already in the 9th. Which those runs turned out to be very important, the runs they did not get. But Ben Rice's added muscle has plainly added exit velocity, has turned a couple long flyouts into home runs, and has turned some liners to outfielders into gappers. And I'm thinking specifically of the one that he shot past Corbin Carroll against the Diamondbacks. Because if you're wondering, like, what does exit velocity do for me? Why do I care if a guy hits the ball hard? Why do I care if there are hard hit outs? I hear you. I don't like hard hit outs either. Nobody does. This is not a stat saying you should love hard hit outs. But Corbin Carroll thought he had that line drive by Ben Rice tracked, and then he turned and it was past him. Because Ben Rice hit it harder than he expected him to. Because Corbin Carroll didn't know that Ben Rice had transformed this way. So that's why exit velocity matters. And Ben Rice has an absurd 212 OPS plus to start the year. I don't know what I want to see from Giancarlo Stanton's return. I don't know if I want to see it. I know beggars can't be choosers, and Stanton is as clutch as they come, and the Yankees will find value in Giancarlo Stanton. But I don't want to lose Ben Rice. These things work themselves out. I know that. So I'm not wishing for anything. I hope Giancarlo Stanton makes a full recovery. I hope Ben Rice stays healthy all year. I hope Paul Goldschmidt stays healthy all year. And by the way, Paul Goldschmidt went 13 for 27 on this road trip. That's 481 while you were all watching Ben Rice. It's almost 482. It's 481-48. So close. But it's 481 while everybody was watching Ben Rice. And yeah, Goldschmidt only knocked in one guy. Not his fault. You got to get guys on to knock him in. But 13 for 27. Multi-hit games in 5 of the 6 games of the road trip. Such a comforting presence and almost built to not be noticed with his sturdiness and his rock-steady nature. But we are here to notice him. The Yankees right now have 2. Aaron Judge is great. Jazz Chisholm is great. Yankees' 2 best hitters at this moment in time. 3 best hitters because you can't not put Judge in there. But the Yankees' 3 best hitters includes 2 first basemen. I think that's pretty cool. And one of them is a homegrown rookie, and one of them is a 37-year-old veteran who everybody wrote off as just another washed guy the Yankees are bringing in. Shows what metrics and identifiers and second-half momentum and experience can do. He has been so experienced so far. And if you don't think that what Paul Goldschmidt brings to the table isn't rubbing off on people like Ben Rice, then you don't know how a locker room operates. Max Fried. Another newcomer that was supposed to be a number 2, you hoped could share the number 2 role with Carlos Rodon, thrust into ace status. And as Clark Schmidt returns, gets closer to returning, should be back for his next start. And Luis Gil starting a throwing program. It's going to be a while, but hey, maybe he comes back to, can't think about it till it happens, but maybe it happens. No matter what happens, Fried is going to be the ace if healthy. And he was immaculate in 7 shutout innings yesterday. This is not just the Tigers. This is the team that went 31-13 down the stretch last year, won a playoff series in Houston. This is probably the current AL Central favorite. The team on a 6-game winning streak before yesterday. A lot of people are forgetting what Detroit is just because they didn't sign Alex Bregman and they didn't have Gleyber Torres for this series. You're watching Javier Baez out there. You're going, how good could this team be? Very good. The Detroit Tigers are very good. Max Fried shut out a potential AL Central favorite yesterday with 11 Ks in 7 innings. 20 Ks, 20-plus Ks, and a sub-2 ERA in his first Yankee starts. First 3. That's Rudy May in 1974. Forgive you if you don't remember him. El Duque in 1998. And Max Fried this year. Only happened 3 times in Yankees history that the first 3 Yankee starts have looked quite that good by those parameters. He has been such a difference maker and a joy to watch and a pickoff artist. And an artist in general, a throwback to Andy Pettitte, a throwback to an era when pitchers, even if they threw smoke, also got creative. So Max Fried, thank you for joining the New York Yankees family and for doing something you didn't expect to do yourself, I don't think. I don't think Max Fried thought he was coming here. The Yankees have made it plain that when they got on the Zoom with Max Fried, they didn't know if they'd be able to convince him to come here or if this was even a place he was showing interest in. Hell of a Juan Soto pivot. Hell of a good job by the front office pulling together an offer that they maybe never expected would work. Because so far, Max Fried, worth every penny in 8 years is a long time, and that's what it took for the Yankees to go get him. And I'm glad that they took that plunge, and that's the kind of thing that the New York Yankees, with their endless financial resources, should be doing. And they should make their financial resources pretty damn close to endless. Hey, I don't know if they're going to use some of those resources on Devin Williams long-term, though. The bats went cold. Mize is Mize. Scooble is Scooble. I'm not going to rake him over the coals for having a bad series in sub-zero temperatures. But they did. The torpedo bats, maybe they froze, maybe they cracked. I mean, pretty solid counter argument to everybody who was like, the Yankees are just a cheat code now, I guess. Oh, so I guess because it's the Yankees, MLB just won't say anything. Hey, guess what? You could never score in cold weather with the torpedo bats too, genius. You know, you watch conspicuously silent during this series, friend. The people who are just like, it's a hack. They would never let any other team do this. Meanwhile, you're like, hey, they're letting every other team do this. The person's completely silent. They just shut up. Yeah, we'd love to hear some rebuttals there and how the torpedo bats just aren't fair because the Yankees didn't actually hit anybody in this series at all, except for Tyler Holton out of the bullpen and a little bit in the ninth inning yesterday too, but then flubbed it with the bases loaded. It's a concern, but more of a concern, Devin Williams. I'll do the nice stuff first, and I think Devin Williams has a lot of extremely valid excuses if he struggles and continues to struggle. Just came back from paternity leave. Newborn child in the house. Probably not getting a lot of sleep these days. On the road now, but again, fully recovery mode. New city. Contract year pressures. Postseason pressure looming, hopefully, for the New York Yankees. Had a bad postseason moment last year that Met fans will not let him forget. Led the charge to change the facial hair policy this offseason. Made a huge off-field impact. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff weighing on Devin Williams. So he says he's getting closer. I want to trust him. And here's more reason to believe his worst month of his career, traditionally, is March, April combined. 3.86 ERA and a 3.17 WOBA. That's not Devin Williams. These stats collected by Yankees Apple. By the way, shout out on Twitter. That's not Devin Williams. He's one of the most dominant relievers in baseball. He routinely maintains an ERA in the ones. People have scored 13 runs off him in his previous 83 outings leading into this year when they've scored 4 earned runs, 5 runs total off him in 4 outings. So this is the worst of it. He hasn't been worse than this in a while. And yeah, the airbender is getting sat on. People see it coming. The changeup doesn't look like this phenomenal change of pace weapon. It just kind of looks like Mark Leiter Jr.'s splitter when he came over last year, where you were like, this is the famous splitter. This shit sucks. It's just loopy. No one's swinging at it. Who would swing at this? It does kind of feel that way right now. The fastball is a tick lower in velocity than it should be. He hit 94 on a beautifully painted pitch to Zach McKinstry yesterday before he then lost the zone and McKinstry barreled one up for a 2-run single. That ended up being his last batter face in that game before the aforementioned Leiter Jr. came in and bailed him out. But past March and April, the month when pitchers typically do build themselves up, Luke Weaver's behind in velocity too. It happens. May, ERA down to 2.51, 231 WOBA. June, 165, 246. July, 087, 207. August, 155, 240. September and October in the regular season, 189, 210. So the temperature heats up, so does he. He played in a domed stadium for his home games in Milwaukee. Now he's doing 1 year outside, home and on the road so far. Frigid cold this week in Detroit. Still, I do think you can throw up the panic flag, the challenge flag. I think you have a right to say, I don't like what I'm seeing. Because I certainly don't. No one's going to fault you for saying, oh, great. Another pumpkin in a Yankees uniform. This is the best closer in baseball, and now he's here. Through the first 2 weeks of the season, it was a bummer to see it spread beyond the Brewers series. Because when he loads the bases against the Brewers on opening day, you're like, wow, his former team has his number. This is a terrible opening day matchup. This is sucking the life out of me. Brewers fans will tell you, for the most part, he gets into trouble and he gets out of it. As a Yankee, we saw that on opening day, and we haven't really seen it since. He's gotten into trouble, and the trouble has stung him. And he was away from the team for a full series. They've only played 4 series, and he missed 1. So he's not in rhythm. He's not coming into save situations. He came into a 9-4 game to get some work last Friday in Pittsburgh. I'm in the stay patient, give him time camp, but yesterday was as bad of an outing as you can have in a situation when you're handed a 4-0 lead. Should have been 7-0. Shouldn't have even been in that game, but he is in that game, and he has to get it to the finish line. Has to. And he walks the leadoff hitter. Can't. And he gets 2 strikeouts after that. Great recovery. 2-0 pitch to Javi Baez single. Can't do that. Walks Trey Sweeney. Can't do that. One of the most, unhinged wild pitches you'll ever see. Can't do that. McKinstry squares him up, and he's out of the game in 5 seconds. 4-0 to 4-3. Good job, Leiter. It's in the books as a win. But I know a lot of you were thinking about the Devin Williams outing, and for good reason. So hopefully it does not bleed into this weekend when the New York Yankees come home. They face the San Francisco Giants. This is a fun series. Like we said, a splash home run ended the Giants' last big comeback from 5-0 down against the Reds at home. They are 9-3. They are looking a little reminiscent of that Giants team from a couple years ago that won 107 games and battled tooth and nail with the Dodgers and lost a 5-game NLDS with Max Scherzer on the mound for the save. They're looking a little bit like that too. We got discounted. We're better than the sum of our parts. We don't know how we're doing this either. We don't know how Wilmer Flores is still 33 years old, but that shocked me. I looked that up the other day. It shocked me. One of the league leaders in RBI. He's got 14. But I was like, man, that's a 37-year-old if I've ever seen one in my life. And no, they're 33 years old and still kicking. The pitching matchups in this series, the pitching matchups in every series the Yankees play are going to be a little bit tilted and a little bit unbalanced. In this one, Robbie Ray against Marcus Stroman on Friday. We know Robbie Ray well. The Giants know Marcus Stroman well. They reportedly entertained a trade for him this offseason. They entertained signing him last offseason. How about Marcus Stroman is the steady guy that he needs to be? Just need 6 innings, 2 or 3 runs from him. Don't need a miracle. Just need length, need sturdiness, need what he purports to be and what he has been so many times in his past in the major leagues. Danny Wexelman brought this up on Monday's show too. Marcus Stroman talks a big game. He does not need to be a star. He does not need to be an all-star. He just needs to hold it down. This would be a great place to start. And we have familiarity with Robbie Ray, off to a good start to the year. We've hit him before. Jordan Hicks versus Will Warren on Saturday is immensely interesting to me. Jordan Hicks, former 103-mile-an-hour flamethrower in the bullpen. Will Warren did not have the transition to the regular season that he wanted coming out of spring training. 3 brilliant innings in Pittsburgh, and then the wheels fell off. We can't have that moving forward. And he, in my opinion, has not shown close to enough to stay in the rotation once Clark Schmidt comes back. And Clark Schmidt rehabbing today, hopefully that's his next start. So this might be Will Warren's last big league start for a while. And if all goes well, it probably should be, because you don't want to lose the Carlos Carrasco asset for nothing. So show me something. Find that location. Find that velocity. No better time like the present. Jordan Hicks starter hasn't been quite as insanely terrifying as Jordan Hicks reliever, but like every Giant, off to a hot start. 0.882 whip through 2 starts, 1-0, 2.38 ERA. And the marquee matchup, Logan Webb against his former co-ace Carlos Rodon on Sunday. Rodon was brilliant on opening day at Yankee Stadium. His last 2 starts have looked a little bit more like last year. We know Rodon has these weird outings where he just 4 runs in 2 innings, and you're like, this guy's a mess. And then he goes 7 innings and allows 4 runs. And you're like, I don't know what to classify that as. Is this guy a mess? Is this just what a number 3 does? Like, am I mad at him? Was that fine? I prefer he just go back to being sort of a co-ace number 2. I would love to see him dominate the Giants, a team where he had his best years and has the most familiarity. But he has definitely had an odd start to the season where you're like exploding early. Okay, this is a disaster. Oh, wait, he finished a quality start-esque outing, and now we're still in the game. So 3 fun matchups, very fun Giants team, although you wish you had some more duds on the early season schedule. The Red Sox get the White Sox 7 times in April. Like, yeah, I'd like the White Sox 7 times in April. Mike Tauchman was trying to score the tying run last night. He came up lame and hurt his hamstring and then fell down and couldn't run. Like, that's the kind of team I would like to be beating. Just a couple of times. Just a couple. I don't think I'm asking for too much. But early season, still trying to shake things out. The Giants are a fun opponent. The New York Yankees get a fun opponent this weekend. And they get them at home. Finally, a West Coast team coming to the East Coast. If only it could have been one of those West Coast teams that actually plays in the heat. The Giants play by the Bay. They're used to cold temperatures. We'll see what they got in the Bronx. Looking a little wet, looking a little rainy, looking a little cold. In the 40s on Saturday, the 50s on Sunday. Are both these games going to be played? I don't know. Keep your eyes out for some delays. But I'd like to watch baseball this weekend, and I don't think the Giants are going to want to come back to New York anytime for the remainder of the season pre the World Series. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. So let's get these games in. Let's get some wins, but if we have to change based on the weather, then we will. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. You can find the Yanks Go Yard podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms. You can find us live on YouTube every Monday and Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern. And remember, we'll be back here with Danny Wexelman on Monday. And if you're a commenter who wants to comment and laugh about how the Giants have a better record than the Yankees and the Yankees can't hit in the cold, I see you. I'm not sure at what point I ever said that the Giants didn't have a better record than the Yankees, I said they were good. That's exactly what I said. They're two teams with good records. I guess that's an LOL from the comment section. Cool. Glad to see the trolls showed up today. You're always welcome on this stream, though, and you're always welcome to rate and review us either on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, I'm Adam Weinrib. See you again on Monday with co-host Danny Wexelman of SNY and ESPN. Until then,